Let's see if I'm live. I'm in the background doing something. You all come in, hit that like, hit that share button. I told you all on last night, if you was on the last night live stream, that I wanted to play this. I want to find this information. I know that a lot of you all that follow me also follow High Frequency Radio. And this is a conversation that I heard on one of his shows that I wanted to bring out and point out to people. Now, I know some people have told me that it's not necessarily sovereign citizenship. So maybe if those people are available to come in, they can explain the difference, because that's not something that I'm really looking into. But most people know it by the title. So I made that the title. I think you all said it was a national born citizen or something like that. But I get the concept of it, right? So before I get into this topic, giving you other options that Yusef himself uses on high frequency radio, opposing to trying to go this long drawn out route of sovereign citizenship or whatever, better for lack of better terminology, whatever you all call it, and living a life in poverty and living like a pauper, and recognizing that your bills are in all caps that you receive. Anything that you pay on it is written, your name is written in all caps. Recognizing that your social security, your birth certificate is in all caps. And if you turn on the other side of your social security card, looking at all of the red letter numberings, and have you ever asked yourself the combination of the letters and the numbers, have you ever asked yourself exactly what does this mean? Right? What does this mean? Why is my name in all cap? And this is exactly what we are going to discuss and go over today. So welcome in. Even if you're not into sovereign citizen, you're going to want to know this information, especially if you are invested in crypto, especially if you're a person who wants to know how to leverage your credit to get assets, things that appreciate in value and not depreciate. This is information that you will want to know, uh, just to know. And in general, you should want to know this information. So I'm going to start off with just an artificial person first. One of his clips that I like that he brought out about being an artificial person. And this is just information I think everybody should know about themselves and about what's going on behind the scenes when it comes to your name, your social security number, um, in the United States, which is a corporation, right, and not a country. So let's tune in. You all come in, hit that thumbs up, hit that like button. YouTube loves that algorithm, and it will notify other people that I am live so they can join in as well.
Everything in the public is an artificial person. That's why everything is in all caps. I went to Wikipedia, they show you that right there. Everything is in all caps. Your driver's license is in all caps. Your utility bills is in all caps. The caption of the pleading of all your court documentation is in all caps. All your senators, House of Representatives, when you see them on TV and they're having a discussion with someone, the nameplates in front of them are in all caps. All right, that is not an accident. Yep. That is to make a distinction between public and private. Okay, they're operating in their public capacity, and in that capacity, they are immune from prosecution as long as they stay within the ambit of their delegated authority, which derives it from the Constitution for the United States of America. Everything in the public is an artificial person. That's why everything is in all caps. I went to Wikipedia, they show you that right there. Everything is in all caps. Your driver's license is in all caps. Your utility bills is in all caps. The caption of the pleading of all your court documentation is in all caps. All your senators, House of Representatives, when you see them on TV and they're having a discussion with someone, the nameplates in front of them are in all caps. All right, that is not an accident. Yep. That is to make a distinction between public and private. Okay, they're operating in their public capacity, and in that capacity, they are immune from prosecution as long as they stay within the ambit of their delegated authority, which derives it from the Constitution for the United States of America.
So that was a short clip right there. Everything is in all caps. Welcome D, welcome man. Glad you made it this morning as well. So that's talking about being an artificial person, right? Versus being an authentic person. And how that relates to your monetary life, how that relates to the government system, right? And some people look at it between God's law and government's law, natural law, versus God's law. I don't think they should be separated, because Scripture says biblically the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, and all that dwells within. Now, Scripture also says that the highest heavens belong to the Lord, but the earth He has given unto mankind. So I firmly believe that the earth is given unto mankind, although the earth should be an operation under the spiritual laws. This is where we see 69 as above, so below. It is also an inclusion of natural laws as well. This is why in Genesis, Gene Isis, the first 6 days, right, were things that were made from nature, for nature. The seventh day was the spiritual inclusion. So I don't think it should be an exclusion of spiritual law, and natural law and God's law. It should definitely, in my opinion, be an inclusion. It should be an inclusion. Now, I'm going to do a second live stream on today. I've decided to try to do more live streams that are separated, but I want to address some of these things. Give me 2 minutes to address this. That some people left a comment on my video that when it comes to crypto, specifically XRP being centralized, um, that's a positive thing. Listen, if you think centralization is a positive thing and stealing away of your generational wealth, then you definitely need to tune in on my XRP will make you rich, but not the way you think video live stream that I'm going to do later on today. Also, someone left a comment that there will be no government shutdown. That's a scare tactic. I don't understand why anybody think that a government shutdown is a scare tactic and not a factual reality, especially the state that we are in, the United States is in right now economically. Just like some people would think that World War III is a scare tactic. Well, then World War I and World War II was a scare tactic. The government temporarily shutting down when Trump was in office was a scare tactic as well. But guess what? It happened. And so now we have the Pentagon. We are on the brink of World War III after the latest Iran attack. News that's coming out. The warning comes as Iran backed proxies and the Middle East attacking Israel on the United States target. Some people really choose to be in an illusional world, like because they don't want to see economic downturn. They don't want to see economic collapse because they're not prepared, and so they make their own, right. No matter what is evident, what is right in front of their face, they make their own reality mentally versus preparation. And these are the same people that wants God, a mysterious God, to come from the sky and to have a rapture, which is not mentioned in the Bible, and to save them because they don't have the incentive, the mindset, or the action plan, or they don't want to take action to save themselves. When again, Scripture says the highest heaven belongs to the Lord, and the earth He has given unto mankind. It tells you right there in Genesis, Genesis, that you are made to subdue, to multiply, and have dominion on this earth. That power was never meant to, that's the whole reason why this great God created humanity, because He wanted an extension of Himself in another world, another dimension to rule and reign over. Didn't want to be the person that's babysitting over you and to help you out of hard times. Everything is within us to help ourselves. In fact, Scripture says that we are gods. Genesis 3:22. After the Adam and Eve says, see, man has become like us knowing both good and evil. John 10 and 34, isn't it not written in my law that you are gods? Psalm 82 and 6, same scripture, ye are gods. He blessed them and gave them dominion, said, have rulership and authority, right? Now, so on the government shutdown, as we're talking about this, the government shutdown as well, U.S. spending bill, and we're going to get into how to incorporate and why you should incorporate your name and not operate under your SSN, as well as a trust, developing yourself as a trust that you should not be operating under your social securities assigned to you by the U.S. government, which is a corporation as well and not a country. So the U.S. spending bill to avert government shutdown has cleared the first hurdle. It has passed through the Senate. This is temporary to delay a government shutdown, and it was passed as the first proceeding. So now it has passed the Senate. The vote was 68-13 on this. They could not meet for the House meeting on yesterday because of inclement weather, right? So now that has to go through the vote of the House. So just want to let you all know that this bill, right, government shutdown is not a scare tactic. United States is over $33 trillion in debt. This economic system has to be reset. The deadline to delay a partial government shutdown is this Friday at midnight. I personally think that it will be delayed again until March 1st and March 8th, which is still only a month away. However, you never know, right? Congress is running out of time. This is another article by USA Today. Is there going to be another government shutdown? I'm just so surprised how many people can be so delusional to things, right? Yeah, running out of time to act. And another deadline to avoid. This is the third one. And lawmakers have less than 3 days to change its course. A partial government shutdown will set in later this week if Congress fails to act, and a slew of other departments would have to close their doors for Americans next month. Congress is gearing up to vote in the incoming days about a bipartisan deal to temporarily, the word temporarily has been in every last one of these. So a government shutdown is inevitable. It will happen. It's inevitable, you all. I mean, it's going to happen, right? Was unveiled this weekend would fund the government until March 1st. This is the third time. And someone told me it's a scare test. How? Houseway, people, it's time to wake up. It is time to absolutely wake up. All right, so let's get into the meat and potatoes. The reason why you are on this live stream, other than to see me, we're going to get into you self. That, and I always tell people, do not listen to what a person say. Only what they are doing. Yusef teaches you all about this, but he teaches you under the auspice of a businessman. He sells the product as a businessman. I've never heard him say that he is a sovereign citizen. I've never heard him say that. Now, I'm not saying he's not. I just have never heard him say that he sell the product to people that feel like that's the best path for them. Let's listen in. And again, you all come in, hit the like, and hit the share button.
The mass. That's why they want the men emotional, because they want to eliminate that masculine component. They don't want any masculinity whatsoever. So of course they're telling all the men they need to be emotionally intelligent. Men don't need to be emotionally intelligent. We need to think with logic. We don't need to be trying to really do emotional nothing. We need to be directing our emotion through our intellect and our reason, intellect and reason. That's what a man does. A man just don't allow himself to become emotional. When men become emotional, motherfuckers die. Man, don't follow no woman, man. He's, you listening to these women talking about you need some emotional intelligence. These women are foolish. And some of the things that they be saying, these are not intelligent women. These are women that went to a school and listen to some liberal teacher tell them something and they think they know something. And they don't know anything. Telling you to be emotionally, and they don't need to know anything about being a man in the first place. They don't need to be talking about what a man should be doing. They need to be listening to a man. That's what they need to be doing, listening to a man, not trying to, tell a man what he should be doing. No, men are like trains. You have a northbound train, southbound train, eastbound train, and westbound train. Okay. A woman is a passenger on that train. All right. She's supposed to be the nurturer, the supporter on that train, because men are the ones that are on missions. They want to have their own missions now. They want to go get that bag. They want to be boss bitches and shit like that. It's never going to happen for them because they go against nature. They go against they don't. So we have to be cognizant of that. But anyway, let me go to the next call, man. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to keep on.
Oh, good, man. Honored to even get through, man. Peace to the guys, man, for real.
All right, peace to the guys.
Do you still offer the lifetime membership?
Yes, I do. It's on the website. Just when you go to the home page, just scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there's a price thing that you can sign on right there.
1,500. It was like
yes, 1,500 lifetime.
Okay. All right,
1,500 lifetime.
Okay, let me pause right there. First of all, he said 1,500 lifetime. 1,500 lifetime. I'm not even going to comment about what he said about the woman and all that, right? But 1,500 lifetime. It lets you know this man's a businessman. He's selling a business. He has a product. He has a website, and he's selling you sovereign citizenship. So why aren't you doing what he's doing? Yep. Because, like I tell people, most of the time people want sovereign citizenship because they are in financial trouble. And I'm just telling you, there's a better way. I think there's a better way than fighting years and living in poverty. Now, I could comment on what he said about the man is supposed to be the driver of whatever he said, and the woman is supposed to be the passenger. Well, hey, women don't mind following a man that's leading and that's going somewhere and that has vision and they have goals. That's first of all. You got to have that. I do agree with the fact that a woman that has not been raised by a real man in the house, then how can you tell a man how to be a man? But I don't agree that a woman cannot tell a man how to be a man because, back years past, we had Big Mama that raised men in the house, and Big Mama raised doctors and lawyers, and and men of high prestige. Big Mama without a man in the house. She taught men how to be men. I'm not saying that's the best way. I don't think that's the best way. I think the best way is for the way it was intended, where man and woman are combined together and one can operate in their masculine and the other one can operate in their true feminine. I'm not saying it's the best way. But if you don't have any other option, because Big Mama has to raise the kid, Daddy was out working. At least they had an example of what work and providing and protecting look like. But the upkeeping and the raising and the structure of most of these men, Big Mama did it. And sometimes she's had a man in the house, sometimes she didn't. So, but anyway, that's the reason why this live stream, because that played, I wanted to elaborate on that. But this is what I wanted you all to hear from the next caller.
Okay. All right, man. Thank you, man. Peace to the guys, man. It's an honor speaking with you, brother.
All right. Peace to the guys. Peace to the guys. All right. Let me get back to where are we going next? Let's go to let's see. What is this at? I don't see. What is the area code? Let's go up to New Jersey real quick. New Jersey. New Jersey, 908 area code. You on the line.
Hello, Yusuf. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, that's great. I can't believe it's my first time on. Just want to say thank you for all the work that you've done.
Thank you. I appreciate you being for supporting me and supporting the channel. Also, make sure that y'all hit the like button because it's good for my analytics and recommendations and so forth, and it helps the channel to grow. And I really appreciate it. Thank you. What can I do for you this beautiful night?
All right. Well, I want to say you always said that most people got into your information because they got in trouble. Well, that was kind of the opposite with me. I have not that this is a good thing or anything or a bad thing. It's just that I never got so much as a ticket in my life. But one thing I did, I went to school for economics, and one thing I learned, and I did a deep study. I actually wrote a dissertation on private wealth, and what you had discovered is you couldn't find anything. You couldn't find any information. So I actually went to school in New York City, and I went down to the big library in that, with the big lions in the front. And in those books, the only way you could find any information about private wealth was from court cases. And what I discovered was basically business trust. You couldn't find this information until it came out basically in Discovery. All of this information about how all this wealth is hidden in trust. And it might not be a business trust. It might be like a charitable organization or something else like that holds the assets of the company. But I have to say, you're the only person on the internet that teaches business trust. You and like one other guy, this guy named, he does like Trust Art is his company. And he talks about like helping high net worth individuals put like their planes in business trusts or put their businesses in other sorts of trusts. But first of all, I just want to thank you again for that. So that's some great information. And then I'll get to my question.
Okay, but hold on. I want to comment on that. I have to commend you on being able to see that because you're absolutely correct. I was just talking about that in my seminar on yesterday that, in anytime a case ends up in court, there's been some sort of error on their part because, you want to keep a private trust private. But when it comes into a public controversy, they're going to read the trust indenture into the record. This is why one of the best ways of learning about trust is reading case law, because you see different scenarios that people were in, whether it be against the director of the Internal Revenue or someone like that, or because some beneficiaries have some argument against the trustees. Maybe there is some sort of disagreement as to the meaning of the trust indenture, and now we need a declaratory judgment. Just whatever it is, you see all these different scenarios, and it adds to your storehouse of knowledge, and also it reveals, yes, on the record, the wealth that the private sector has, which you don't see because the whole reason they put it in trust because they don't want you to know. So that so I'm glad you said that what right. You said, and it just warms my heart because I see you're one who gets it. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, no. I mean, at the end of the day, we all want to make a lot of money, right? Like right. That's what it comes down to. Right. And there's a lot of rules you got.
Okay, let me pause right there. It drops so much gems in this. First of all, the last statement, at the end of the day, we all want to make a lot of money. You says yes. This is really not the end game. If you do sovereign citizenship or natural citizenship, you're not going to make a whole lot of money. First, I want to replay this. He talked about, Yusef said that most people found his channel because they were in trouble. That means either legal trouble or financial trouble, and sometimes both. And so people think this is my only way out, and they spend years spinning their wheels and giving me quotes and UCC code and blah, blah, blah. And actually, the only time that it really, really make it happen is you don't even hear about the end game. Sometimes I ask people, are you a sovereign citizenship? And they were a citizen or again, right? Um, they'll say yes or whatever. And then I'll ask, okay, how is that working for you? I never get a very intelligent answer. Let me take that back. I didn't mean to say intelligent. I never get a full, thorough answer, right? It's my alarm system. I never get a full answer of the full experience of what does it all entail? How is that working for you, not only legally or financially? Can you go to the hospital and get medical treatment? Or, definitely can you have you ever been arrested? I've seen this video where this lady says, I'm not driving, I'm traveling, and she was arrested and taken to jail. Have your debt been cleared that you're trying to clear? You're trying to save a house from going and did that house get saved, or did you end up selling it to the bank for $20? It didn't help them. In most cases, UCC did not help. And then you have to ask, what other rights that I have that I'm relinquishing, that I'm getting rid of? I want you all to listen with the intent to learn. Listen to what this young man is saying in this, that called in from New Jersey. He said, first of all, I went to school and I only found this information in the school that had the books with the big grandiose lions in between. This information is not readily available. See, that's the stuff that I seek to find. And Yusef agreed with him, said, we're in this to make money, right? He says, yes, that's why Yusef have a business of selling this stuff to you. Let's play it again. And I'm not saying that it's nothing wrong with that. But most people don't see past that. That's the only reason why I'm bringing it out.
Dissertation on private wealth. And
What is this at? I don't see it. What is the area code? Let's go up to New Jersey real quick. New Jersey. New Jersey, 908 area code. You're on the line.
hello, Yusuf, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, that's great. I can't believe it's my first time on. Just want to say thank you for all the work that you've done.
Thank you. I appreciate you being for supporting me and supporting the channel. Also, make sure that y'all hit the like button because it's good for my analytics and recommendations and so forth, and it helps the channel to grow. And I really appreciate it. Thank you. What can I do for you this beautiful night?
All right. Well, I want to say you always said that most people got into your information because they got in trouble. Well, that was kind of the opposite with me. I have not that this is a good thing or anything or a bad thing. It's just that I never got so much as a ticket in my life. But one thing I did, I went to school for economics, and one thing I learned, and I did a deep study. I actually wrote a dissertation on private wealth, and what you had discovered is you couldn't find anything. You couldn't find any information. So I actually went to school in New York City, and I went down to the big library in that, with the big lions in the front. And in those books, the only way you could find any information about private wealth was from court cases. And what I discovered was basically business trust. You couldn't find this information until it came out basically in Discovery. All of this information about how all this wealth is hidden in trust. And it might not be a business trust. It might be like a charitable organization or something else like that holds the assets of the company. But I have to say, you're the only person on the internet that teaches business trust. You and like one other guy, this guy named, he does like Trust Art is this company. And he talks about like helping high net worth individuals put like their planes in business trusts or put their businesses in other sorts of trusts. But Well, first of all, I just want to thank you again for that. So that's some great information. And then I'll get to my question.
Okay, but hold on. I want to comment on that. I have to commend you on being able to see that, because you're absolutely correct. I was just talking about that in my seminar on yesterday, that, you know, in anytime a case ends up in court, you know, there's been some sort of error on their part, because, you know, you want to keep a private trust private, but when it comes into a public controversy, they're going to read the trust indenture into the record. This is why one of the best ways of learning about trust is reading case law, because you see different scenarios that people were in, whether it be against the director of the Internal Revenue, or, you know, someone like that, or, you know, because some beneficiaries have some argument against the trustees. Maybe there is some sort of disagreement as to the meaning of the trust indenture, and now we need a declaratory judgment. Just whatever it is, you know, you see all these different scenarios, and it adds to your storehouse of knowledge. And also it reveals, yes, on the record, the wealth that the private sector has, which you don't see, because the whole reason they put it in trust, because they don't want you to know. So that, you know, so I'm glad you said that, what you said, and it just warms my heart, because I see you're one who gets it. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, no. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we all want to make a lot of money, right? Like
Right.
that's what it comes down to.
Right.
Right. And there's a lot of rules you got to follow. If you follow the rules, I think it's Robert Kiyosaki. He's one of those guys. He said, once you understand how to make money legally, why would you ever do it illegally? Like, and that's so true.
That is very
but
true.
yeah, I'll get to my questions. I got so many questions.
Right.
Yeah. I got so many questions, you know, and I'm still a novice at it. Next to me, I'm sitting a few books here: Uniform Commercial Code, Banking and Negotiable Instruments, and a few of Bank Officers Handbook. These are all things you've turned me on to.
Right.
So I'm not even deep enough to even give you really good questions. But, you know, I thought maybe you could speak a little bit, to the degree that you feel comfortable on the air, talking about how you see these, like, just monetizing negotiable instruments in general. Because the thing that confuses me the most is, and I think you talked about this a lot, was that you can issue private instruments, but the other party doesn't necessarily have to accept it. And there's a variety. I'm assuming the clearinghouse, the DTC, is essentially just a way for a deposit of different financial instruments, and that's kind of a way to clear it.
I can talk about it. Okay, first of all, let's talk about what we're dealing with. We're dealing with debt instruments. These are debt instruments. There is no money. That's the first principle. There isn't any money. So we're playing a game. We're playing an accounting game. We're playing an accounting game. All right. So that's number one. There's no gold or silver backing anything, or anything of substance backing any instrument. Okay. Initially. Okay. Until you securitize it, or, you know, put some sort of asset behind it. But paper, whether it be a bond, promissory note, bill of exchange, or something like that, is a contract, is what it is. It's a contract. That's all they are. They're contracts. So they are creating value and commerce through agreements. All right. So the lien is a big weapon, or a big fundamental thing that is utilized in their system, where you agree to allow collateral to be placed on an instrument in exchange for your labor. Everybody wants your labor. You have to go to work, and then they issue you some paper, which is a medium of exchange, and it represents your labor in exchange for discharging some obligation that you have, of which, if you do not satisfy that obligation, there's some sort of physical collateral that they're going to take from you. This is what everybody's talking about, how these people created this system and were able to steal all of the substance from the American people by giving them nothing. You know, just gave monopoly money, paper, and then obligate you to go out and work for it. And if you miss a payment, we'll come take your house. We'll come take your car. We'll come take your children, or whatever it is. That's why a set off and discharging is so important, because when you understand the nature of the system and how it functions, and now here comes someone trying to take your home, when if you was really to investigate and thoroughly look at the transaction, nothing of substance was given to you. They just locked you into a contract. They had a promissory note, and he had a mortgage. The mortgage is the contract that locks you in for 30 years and requires your labor. Whereas the promissory note was the actual asset that paid for it. The promissory note paid for it. You gave them money. You gave them money. But it's that agreement that allows them to monetize it. That has value. So if you have a $200,000 mortgage, okay, and you put a house attached to it where you agreed to make payments for the next 30 years, that has value. Now I can take that to someone else, okay, and discount it. So if I need an infusion of cash and I'm a bank and I got a whole bunch of these mortgages for $200,000, I can tell another financial institution, hey, look, man, give me $150,000 for each of these $200,000 mortgages I got, and I will assign. Right.
So I'm not even deep enough to even give you a really good question. But, I thought maybe you could speak a little bit to the degree that you feel comfortable on the air, talking about how you see these, like, just monetizing negotiable instruments in general. Because the thing that confuses me the most is, and I think you talked about this a lot, was that you can issue private instruments, but the other party doesn't necessarily have to accept it. And there's a variety, and I'm assuming the clearinghouse, the DTC, is essentially just a way for a deposit of different financial instruments, and that's kind of a way to clear it.
I can talk about it. Okay, first of all, let's talk about what we're dealing with. We're dealing with debt instruments. These are debt instruments. There is no money. That's the first principle. There isn't any money. So we're playing a game. We're playing an accounting game. We're playing an accounting game. All right. So that's number one. There's no gold or silver backing anything or anything of substance backing any instrument. Okay. Initially. Okay. Until you securitize it or, put some sort of asset behind it. But paper, whether it be a bond, promissory note, bill of exchange, or something like that, is a contract, is what it is. It's a contract. That's all they are. They're contracts. So they are creating value and commerce through agreements. All right. So the lien is a big weapon or a big fundamental thing that is utilized in their system, where you agree to allow collateral to be placed on an instrument in exchange for your labor. Everybody wants your labor. You have to go to work, and then they issue you some paper, which is a medium of exchange, and it represents your labor in exchange for discharging some obligation that you have, of which, if you do not satisfy that obligation, there's some sort of physical collateral that they're going to take from you.
Yeah, let me break that down, what he just said. And I want to go back and re-say something that I said earlier for accuracy. He does teach about trust, right? He does teach about trust. I've never heard him say that he was a sovereign citizen or nationals, whatever you all call it. But he does teach about trust. I teach about trust as well, so I don't know if I said that or if it sounded wrong or incorrect. Now, he's talking about entering into an agreement to purchase a home, for example, and your labor, right, is their promissory note of exchange. So, in other words, you are the creditor, not the banks. It's not just your labor, though. It's your finances, your financial status, your financial state. But in essence, your labor will be calculated because you must be employed. You must have a job. So you are the creditor to the banks. The banks are not the creditor to you. However, when you enter into that agreement, a promissory note, and if I can find another video, I'm going to replay it. Then he's saying now the banks not only have your labor, you are the bank's human resources, but they also have the physical asset that if you do not deliver as promised, which is the home, that they have possession of. Now, if you don't think, even if you pay your house out free and clear, do not pay the property taxes on it. You'll see if it's really yours. This is what I tell people. You have to learn how to play the tax game. And the best way to play the tax game is to incorporate yourself and to get a trust. Now, I didn't know this upon purchasing my first home, that I can even purchase a house in my trust name, right? I'm learning along the way. I didn't know, for example, about my vehicles, that I can get my vehicles and the tags finance, or not just finance, but just in my corporation name and not my personal name. And so once I got those vehicles paid off free and clear, then I went back and I changed the title to under my corporation and not my personal name. Because it's just better. Because especially if you have boys or sons that you feel like will have any type of harassment, once they run that tag and says under corporation versus a sovereign citizenship, the treatment is different. I promise you. Because my daughter drives a vehicle under a corporation name. The treatment is different, and so do I. The treatment is different, right? So let's go.
This is what everybody's talking about, how these people created this system and were able to steal all of the substance from the American people by giving them nothing. You know, just gave monopoly money paper and then obligate you to go out and work for it. And if you miss a payment, we'll come take your house. We'll come take your car. We'll come take your children or whatever it is. That's why a set off and discharging is so important, because when you understand the nature of the system and how it functions, and now here comes someone trying to take your home, when if you was really to investigate and thoroughly look at the transaction, nothing of substance was given to you. They just locked you into a contract. They had a promissory note and he had a mortgage. The mortgage is the contract that locks you in for 30 years and requires your labor, whereas the promissory note was the actual asset that paid for it. The promissory note paid for it. You gave them money. You gave them money. But it's that agreement that allows them to monetize it. That has value. So if you have a $200,000 mortgage, okay, and you put a house attached to it where you agreed to make payments for the next 30 years, that has value. Now I can take that to someone else, okay, and discount it. So if I need an infusion of cash and I'm a bank and I got a whole bunch of these mortgages for $200,000, I can tell another financial institution, hey, look, man, give me $150,000 for each of these $200,000 mortgages I got, and I will assign it over to you, and then you can collect the payments, and I'll just take $150,000, and you can collect the $200,000 plus interest over time. All right, that's that's one form of monetizing an instrument. You know what I'm saying? It's an obligation. It's no real money or anything. It's the labor behind it, the energy behind all of these papers, human beings going to work. That's the actual monetization. Labor is what is money. Labor is what is used as value.
That's right.
People's agreement to perform some kind of work. And if they can't get an agreement for you to perform work, then their whole system is going to fall flat on its face. It's going to fall flat on its face.
That's right. And they used to think, and I don't know how much you read up on this, but if you go back to like the Medici, they all said, and you know, it's kind of hard to read some of these old books, but they said that gold itself was actually movable real estate because you owned a piece of the land and your labor mined the piece of the land, and so it was actually a representation of your labor or a piece of land. So it was like you talk about private exchanges. That's why gold or the bimetallic standard that we have with gold and silver was private, because you know the land itself is private almost. You know, that's where it gets a little confusing because they do mint the money. But regardless, so it seems to me like what you're saying is we're basically renegotiating the contract. So there's an applied consent to them saying this is your social security number. This is I'm
not necessarily negotiating the contract, because in their contract they cannot put a clause that will require me to pay any obligation in a particular species of currency. That's what HJR 192 of June 5th, 1933, Public Law 73-10 was all about. It's codified in Title 315118, the gold clause. So they can't come and say you must pay in Federal Reserve notes, or you must pay with a credit card, or you must pay with a check, or anything like that. They'll say in lawful money of the United States, but Congress determines what that is. Lawful money of the United States is an archaic term. What is lawful money of the United States is gold and silver. But they're not operating in the Republic. They're operating in a democratic territory called United States that allows them, under the plenary power doctrine, that applies in under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, their territorial jurisdiction, they can come in with just and make anything they want be a medium of exchange. That's why they can do that, because Federal Reserve knows is unconstitutional in the Republic, but it's not in the Republic. It's in a democracy. That's why they're constantly talking about a democracy. They're giving you a word that's not even in the Constitution. The word democracy is not in the Constitution. So it has to be something that is allowing. They do everything correctly. They're not doing these people that say de jure, de facto, and all of that. No, they were delegated the power to that. The problem is you, the people, y'all have came over into their jurisdiction and complaining when you accepted the Social Security number and all these benefits and privileges they were given. Don't get mad at these people for you being lazy and you adopting a victim mindset and you can't make nothing happen for yourself. So you need the assistance of someone. So yeah, that's, we're not recontracting with them. They gave credit. They should expect credit back. They didn't give me nothing. If you gave me credit, then why can't I give you credit back? Equality of the laws.
No, you're absolutely right.
You're sitting here trying to make me go to work. That's a form of slavery.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and compelled servitude was outlawed. Right. So
peonage.
So they can't make that. They can't make it. Yeah. Only voluntary. Like I have a lot of family in the military, and they always talk. They joke. They used to have this joke in the military where they like brush something off your shoulder and be like, government property. Right? Well, you can only contract your way into servitude. Yeah.
Well, you are.
Okay, so let me pause and get into this. How is work a form of slavery? Because everyone that does talk about sovereign citizen talks about God's law versus man law. And in God's law, or at least the Bible, I haven't read the Quran or any of these other things. I probably need to read them. But it clearly says a man that does not work, or woman that does not work does not eat. How is that a form of slavery, going to work? I don't understand that. So usury is a crime against human flesh. How? Slavery is all in the Bible, from Pharaoh to the Egyptians to now slavery without pay is one thing. Slavery without an asset, like the Hebrew Israelites brought over to America 400 years. That's the type of slavery many of our ancestors endured. And harsh treatment and brutal treatment. Provided just enough food to get up and work again, but not any assets or resources. So how is that against human flesh and blood, energy, resources? I don't get it. Because a house does have equity in it. If the banks is using you as a creditor and you have a house and you pay that home, if you understand that the mortgages are front loaded from the beginning, I just want to have an open conversation. Right? Mortgages are front loaded from the beginning. If you understand amortization interest and that your mortgage is front loaded, if you know how to play the game, you can pay a house note off in 5 to 7 years and not pay the banks back 3 times the amount that you borrowed against that home. If you understand the concept of principal payments, amortization interest, and lump sum payments. So you can have a home with equity and use that equity to get other assets, not a vehicle for your child who's graduating college or high school. But use that equity to get other equitable things, like such as maybe a fourplex, a duplex. How is that usury? Like, please explain that to me. Like, do people think that they can do sovereign citizenship, just get them out of the way of working and paying off any bills, and everything they're supposed to get in life is supposed to be free and clear because the government has monetized your birth certificate and is worth millions on the open market? But you don't think you're supposed to do any work to manifest that millions? Like, I'm very calm. I'm not tired. This is a morning live stream. I got some rest. But make that make sense to me, because I don't understand the mindset. I really don't. And I'm because it seems like I only have one person that's commenting, And now, the fiat monetary system is a debt system. And this is why. Because most people don't understand that your money is the lowest yielding asset that there is, cash. When cash was removed, and this is a silver dollar bill that I have, $1. Is it a silver certificate? Yes, and silver payable to the bearable on demand. This is a silver certificate. If you can read the bottom, it's on the bottom. You used to be able to take the paper printed. Now it's promissory note and retrieve it. See, gold certificate, and you used to be able to get the real money for it, gold. But the bankers found out, said, hey, these people very seldom come back and retrieve the real money. They like the idea of carrying lightweight paper money versus heavy metals. So they made cash promissory note. But up to 1971, other countries, because in 1944 the United States became the global reserve currency. So other countries, not American citizens, could bring America's cash back and retrieve it for the real money. So Spain wanted to do just that. And I'm sorry for the glare or the glow. They saw the amount of cash that the United States in the 70s was printing out. This is about supply and demand. The more that's out, the PPP, stimulus loans, and all that, the less you're able to buy. That's called inflation. Your prices increase. And they was on their way on the warships, and President Nixon heard about it because it takes a long voyage to get here on a ship. And I asked the question when I first learned or heard about this story, why didn't they fly over and they wore planes? And said, well, you can't fly gold back, right? So they had to come on warships. And midway, President Nixon changed the law. The other country could not bring United States cash back for the real money, which was gold. And then that's when the gold backing, the convertibility of cash, that support. See, in order for government's money to stop inflation, to hold its value, it must be backed by God's commodities. Must be. Because only God's commodity have intrinsic value. The same amount of silver that I could have purchased items with in 1933 is the same amount of items that I can purchase, even with gas prices increasing in groceries and inflation, is the same amount I can purchase today. And so then they said, okay, we need a commodity back in this dollar. And they went to Saudi Arabia and said, you're going to exchange your oil for our dollar. In other countries, and we'll call it the petrodollar now, because it's not backed by gold anymore. Well, now it's not backed by either or, because Saudi Arabia, Russia, China, BRICS nation are not accepting the United States dollar for their commodities. And so we're moving away from being a global reserve currency because other countries don't want our dollar. So let me read this comment. Usury is by deception in our form and shape or forbidden by the terror. How is usury? Give me the Bible verse on that. Because the Bible verse I know says man that don't work does not eat. Let's break down the Bible verse on that. I can Google it. I am a researcher. Now, let's look at Deuteronomy 23 and 3. Usury. Unto a stranger thou mayest lend usury. Well, you are a stranger in the United States. Many of us, especially if our ancestors was brought over and you're Hebrew Israelites, you are a stranger. That's what Deuteronomy 28 talks about, that you will be a strange in foreign land. You will be brought over in ships. So it says, you may lend usury, but unto thy brother there shall not lend upon usury, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all that thou settest thy hand to do, whether thou goest to possess it. Leviticus 25 and 36. Take no interest of him or increase, but fear thy God, that thy brother may live with thee. They don't have to take increase on you if you get a mortgage and you know the right rules. I have it right here in the background. Velocity banking. If you don't know the rules of the game, if you don't educate yourself with financial knowledge, yes, you will be a part of usury. The Bible also states in all you're getting to get an understanding. So, for example, if you have $136,000 mortgage, which you probably won't find now in 2023, and your principal is 375%, your principal is calculated up front. Let me make sure the math on this is right because it was just in the background. Yeah, that math is right. 136,000 times 3.75% is $510,000. That's front loaded on your morticianer. So let's say you pay that mortgage for a year. We divide that by 12, 1 month, 12 months. That's $425 in 1 year time that you are paying just towards this interest of the 510,000 that they added from the beginning. So $425, if you had a monthly payment of $1,275, $425 of that is going towards interest only. So, and these are my books, you all. I'll give you the website. They're on Amazon, Crypto Chris Profits, to teach you and your children about cryptocurrency. I'll leave those links in the description. And my other book, My Millionaire Notes, 111 Notes That the Rich and Wealthy People Do. Right? One of these, I just turned to it, is on page 37, for example. Waste your money and you're only out of money, but waste your time and you've lost part of your life. Income is the destroyer of riches because you must have your personal labor perform every time. That's usury. Income, not having business income, working under your SSN, not knowing the difference between the different types of income that you can earn: residual, passive, business versus job income. They're taxed different. I can teach this. Robert Kiyosaki has the 4 quadrants, the cash flow quadrants, divided like a cross. And so let's say someone took out, I have $20,000 loan, but let's say you had a credit card limit up to $10,000 and you had a 0% interest on that credit card for up to 12 months on that $10,000. If you took that $10,000 for 12 months versus paying the $425 that's already front loaded in interest, and put it towards your principal payment, you will save $46,490 from the 510 that they uploaded upfront. Then, but somebody else will ask me, well, Queen, how could I pay off the credit card? But that's a whole different strategy, right? That would be 4.5 years saved off your mortgage, just that one chess move, because we play chess over here, not checkers. And the dollar amount will come to about $22,000. Now here it's showing 44,000 because the amount that you had lump sum to put towards the principal of your mortgage was 20,000 versus 10,000. This called velocity banking. So you don't have to be a part of usury. You just have to know how to play the game. But first, you have to recognize what game is being played on you. And you got to sit down and look at your mortgage and see how much am I paying every month in interest and how much is that front loaded. If you do nothing else, call and ask whoever you get your mortgage finance through. Listen, I'm trying to, I used to teach this for business credit. That's why I had the book that, you know, give yourself credit. Money doesn't grow on trees. How to use your social and convert it to a tax ID. But no, people want to whine and complain because they don't want to learn. You are the creditor of your debtor. Your debtor is the straw man. So why are they getting interest on the credit that you have supplied to the corporations in the public domain? The corporation should be paying the interest on your credit to you instead to themselves. How did it get switched around? Whereby the head is the tail, and now the tail is now the head. Now there's other ways that you can do with accounts that's called acceptance for value, but I'm not teaching that live. I don't. My channel is already has been what they call where people don't get notifications, right? That when I'm live streaming and I don't get the views that I used to get because I tell too much publicly. And I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to set up a private. Me and my friend guy was talking about this morning. I need to do another strategy. And want to set up a private Patreon that requires a monthly subscription so people can learn this. What is that called? I want to say blackball, but it's just another terminology for when your YouTube account where people are not getting your notification and they're not sending your videos and the views. That's why I ask you all to take time to hit the thumbs up. Now, another thing that you can do is set up a trust, right? It's set up a trust. Let me show you how to do that because people want to make excuses. People listen. You can make excuses or you can execute, but you cannot do both. Right? You can make excuses or you can execute, but you cannot do both. Shadow ban, that's the word I was looking for. I had to Google that. I Google everything. Shadow ban, I want to use the right terminology. So they shadow ban my channel because I give too much truth. And so I'm just gonna create a Patreon. How about that? And teach this stuff in private. Now, how do you set up your trust? What's the purpose of the trust besides putting yourself in a lower tax bracket, passing on generational wealth, right? You don't get notifications anymore when I get, thank you, somebody that already said shadow ban. Thank you. Thank you for that. And if you don't get notifications, I would just advise people to try to, go back, hit the unnotification bell, subscribe again, right? Or maybe delete your YouTube app and then reinstall it, I don't know. Try unsubscribing, then subscribing again. And so this company, I haven't really talked about it in a while, but I see a need for it because people or reaching out to me where they need a plan to reduce their taxes, you get an instant pay raise, and you can go right to my website, Millie, MILLI moves.com, and go directly here. Eliminate your debt. People need a debt elimination plan. They need it quicker because they don't know strategies like I just showed you all. And these strategies work, and they get you out of that that mortgage debt for 15 or 30 years, of paying down of taking that loan to be locked into a house mortgage and paying the banks back 3 times more principals or 4 times more principal than the amount that you initially borrowed. I'm sorry, interest, not principal. So this is the member access. Once you become a member and you are a membership, it's just $149. So let me log in. Right. Where these experts will help you build your trust and reduce your taxes and increase if you work a job, decrease your FICA taxes. People want to know who's got my money out my paycheck. Well, FICA them has your money. The government get paid first, then your insurance, your health, your dental, your vision, then you. But you can legally, morally, and ethically, not tax manipulation like, Lauryn Hill and Wesley Snipes and, the other people that got caught up with that. Mary J. Blige has paid millions in taxes, Steve Harvey. No, this is not that type of stuff. This is legal laws that the government put in place where you can get tax less out of your paycheck. And that extra money is money you could be using to grow your money through crypto. Because wealthy people brag about the money they make off leverage, not their labor. And you can use credit to benefit you, to help you, not to harm you. Because credit is better than cash right now. And guess what? Having a business is better than a job. Yeah. Having a business is better than a job. It really is nothing wrong with a job. But you need to have a job and a business combined. You should have a job and a business combined. And this is how you develop your trust. This is how you get in a lower tax bracket. People, even when you cash out of your crypto, you're going to need a lower tax plan. Again, I was talking to my friend guy and I was telling him, I said, what if the government does decide to pay people for their XRP like they did gold? Because XRP is highly centralized. And the government give them, now some people going to cash out at $5 or $10 when XRP hit $5 or $10. And cash is not king. Cash is a bad investment. Right? Because credit is money that's tax-free. Other stuff, people. Look, rich people don't pay taxes. I think people hold signs all the time. Tax the rich, tax the rich, tax the rich. No, rich people don't pay taxes. That's not going to happen. Rich people don't pay taxes. Why? Because they have a financial education that they're not going to teach the everyday working class people. So get out of cash and get into assets. Invest into income producing cash assets. But some of you all need to just get cash flow positive first. And that's why the program to increase your paycheck is there. Invest in things you understand, right? And understand that you will move in a direction with the people that you associate with in life. So the key to creating generational wealth, let's play this.
Rockefeller, Carnegie, Morgan, Ford, Vanderbilt. These are all names you're probably familiar with, not just because of the wealth they created while they were living, but because of their ability to pass it on from one generation to the next. You see, their names will never be forgotten because their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and so on will continue to benefit from their wealth with almost no chance of it ever going away because it continues to grow. So, How did they do it? Trusts. That's right. By properly creating a series of trusts, they were able to virtually eliminate taxes and protect their assets, while being able to build, live, and leave a legacy, all at the same time. This is exactly why MWR has created our Trust My Assets program. Before now, trusts, the knowledge of how they work, and their benefits have typically been limited to just the wealthy elite. Why? Because most experts charge tens of thousands of dollars to structure them properly, eliminating the masses. Most wealthy families only pass this information on to other family members, and the average consumer typically doesn't have access to the experts needed to structure them properly. However, thanks to MWR, you now have access to all the trusts you'll need, experienced experts to structure them properly, and you'll now be able to enjoy the benefits at a price you can afford. In the words of Nelson Rockefeller, your goal should be to own nothing but control everything. Trust My Assets gives you the ability to do just that, providing the maximum amount of protection for your assets against creditor collections, lawsuits, judgments, liens, and a whole lot more. What you don't own can never be taken from you. And with Trust My Assets, your trusts will now own your assets, but you still have total control over all of them. But that's
Like, did you all hear that? Did you hear that? What you don't own can never be taken from you. I'm gonna replay that. That's the issue. You're trying to own stuff versus control it. I looked up Wesley Snipes' tax case. He attempted to use negotiable instruments to pay taxes and sovereign. See that? I knew it didn't. I knew it really didn't work. And sovereign citizenship ideology, which got him in trouble. Thank you, Fronte. How do I say the back of that? Yanito? Fronte Yanito. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Rockefeller. Your goal should be to own nothing, control everything. Why don't you have your vehicles, your house, and all of that in a trust, in a corporation, even your name in a corporation?
your goal should be to own nothing but control everything. Trust My Assets gives you the ability to do just that, providing the maximum amount of protection for your assets against creditor collections, lawsuits, judgments, liens, and a whole lot more. What you don't own can never be taken from you. And with Trust My Assets, your trusts will now own your assets, but you still have total control over all of them. But that's not all. Taxes are our biggest expense as Americans, and believe it or not, our tax system in the US is completely voluntary. However, once you complete that first W-4 for your first job, you volunteered to participate, and the only way out is through trusts. This is a key benefit.
Okay, here we go. Let's rewind it. It is say it's voluntary to tax. You don't have to pay tax. It's voluntary. You volunteer to participate, and the only way out is through trust. I wonder if Wesley Snipes created trust on Warren Hill or but once our tax system in the U.S. is completely voluntary. So they say, but don't pay your taxes, you will see. Don't pay them, you will see. But once you complete that first W-4, you're locked in. You're locked in.
Or not, our tax system in the US is completely voluntary. However, once you complete that first W-4 for your first job, you volunteered to participate, and the only way out is through trusts. This is a key benefit of being in business with MWR. Think about it. W-2 employees pay the highest taxes of 28 to 37%. We help them become business owners to reduce that tax liability down to 18 to 22%. We then help them become investors to reduce the tax on that income down to 10 to 15%. And last but not least, we help them establish trusts so they can shift their tax liability to their trust at a rate of 0 to 5%. Imagine making $100,000 per year, and instead of giving $20,000 to $30,000 or more to the IRS, you are able to only have to pay $5,000 or less. What would you do with that extra money year after year? These are just a few of the many ways Trust My Assets can benefit you and your family. However, one of the most important benefits is your ability to pass your legacy on from one generation to the next, without ever having to worry about your family dealing with probate or taxes on the assets you leave behind. If your ultimate goal in life is to leave an inheritance to your children's children, then Trust My Assets gives you everything you need to make it happen. With that said, here are a few qualifications you'll want to meet to get the most out of Trust My Assets before scheduling a consultation with one of our experts. 1. You must have a minimum of $20,000 in assets or an annual business income of $70,000 or more.
And see, this is what most people don't know what you need for the trust, right? You put your business, start having some business income. Make sure you have at least an LLC or some type of corporation. Most people don't have minimum $20,000 in assets. That's what I'm telling you, to get you some assets. You don't need to be debt free first. Buy an asset to get out of the rat race. Right now, the cheapest assets that's futuristic is cryptocurrency. The cheapest ones are cryptocurrency. You can't tell me, well, Bitcoin is not an asset, or yes, it is. That's why BlackRock, the largest asset investing firm, is investing in crypto and Bitcoin and their ETFs. That's why you're going to have to start filing taxes on your crypto and Bitcoin. Not this year, probably next year. The government did come out earlier this year and say, hey, you're going to have to start filing taxes at the last minute, unannounced. But they came back and reversed that. In fact, you have to file taxes on your crypto once you sell your gains and you don't reinvest those gains into another crypto. That means you cash out and you keep that money into your checking account. Why? Because you've just taken money out of crypto and now put it back into the government system, which is cash. So they tax you once you don't put it into another asset class, like real estate. Once you convert it back in cash and you don't reinvest that into another asset, you tax 20-30% off the top.
$1,000 in assets or an annual business income of $70,000 or more. And 2, you will need to have a minimum of $2,500 available to begin setting up your first of the 3 trusts you'll need to complete the process. Now, if you meet these requirements and you have reviewed the videos on this.
Okay, so there's that. Last thing I'm going to go over is also getting the most, I'll find this on my website, the most undervalued assets that there is, precious metals and artwork all in one place. And so you definitely can get this. Why did I have this as a baby boy? I need one for a girl. One of my friend girls said, oh, here you go. I'm going to order this for her. $15. She's having a girl. Silver coin. Okay, copper and silver is the most undervalued asset in the world. You can Google that and find it to be true. Google it at your own time if that's what you need to do. Most undervalued asset in the world. And artwork. I say this all the time by Jay-Z 444 album. He talks about investing. And I could have, bought artwork for X amount of million, now it's worth billions. Well, you get the artwork and the precious metal all in one. People, you have to start somewhere. You have to start building up your assets. They even have Litecoin and Shiba Inu, cryptos, artwork, all at the same price. And we're talking about retail price here for under $40. Robert Kiyosaki says, if you cannot afford to spend $40 a week on silver, then you're not going to get out the rat race. If you don't see, and most people can't get trust because they never build their life with assets. They never get out the rat race. The only thing they're trying to do is find a way to get out the system. Now let's talk about tax crime, since people think sovereign citizenship is the way. Let's look at rich and wealthy people that they did not. They had the money and the resources to be a sovereign citizen. I'm sure. Al Capone. Al Capone. Notorious tax evader in history, the most notorious, although well known as the king of Chicago gangsters, the federal government couldn't put together any criminal charges that would stick him until they nailed Capone for failing to pay taxes. In 1931, the gangster was convicted of 5 counts of income tax evasion and sentenced to 11 years in prison. 11. Couldn't get him any criminal crime. They got him on taxes. Wesley Snipes, tax evasion. After losing his appeal, is where the sovereign citizenship came in. Right here. My God, thank you for providing that for me, Fronte. Snipes defense assertion that a rising tide of Americans feel they are constitutionally protected from paying taxes. Clearly, the U.S. courts feel differently. Yeah, clearly they feel differently. This Wesley Snipes. Dennis, I can't pronounce that last name. Executive Officer Tyco International, the late 1900s, on the head of raging stock market. Like many of his peers at the time, he flaunted his wealth, but his failure to pay taxes on 12 paintings from the masters resulted in an indictment for tax evasion. Headed to prison, and he was associated with convicted of stealing more than $600 million because he failed to pay taxes on purchasing asset paintings from the masters. Wow. Leona Helmsley, 1980s billionaire hotel operator. So I really want to ask middle class people and poor working class, what makes you think you're going to beat the system with sovereign citizenship? That's chasing your tail. I'm from the South. We say things like that. You know, dogs chase their tails at times, they never catch it. They just run around in circles. Hotel operator, billionaire, real estate investor. The queen of mean for her attitude towards others. A former housekeeper claimed that Hemsley once said, "We don't pay taxes. Only the little people pay taxes." Convicted her in 1989 of tax evasion, trial, 18 months in the federal prison. Pete Rose, one of the most controversial figures in baseball history. For admitting to gambling habit, Pete Rose filed the IRS in the early 1900s after pleading guilty to 2 false income tax returns. Just 2 false income tax returns. Rose spent 6 months in jail between 1990 and 1991. Rose's crime included failing to report income tax generated from memorabilia and autograph sales. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm. Willie Nelson. See, it does not discriminate at all. I promise you they don't. Rich, poor, whatever. Don't pay taxes. You'll see. I'm just giving you a plan to pay the least amount of taxes and to learn how to play the game the right way. And paying the least amount of interest rate on a home or even a vehicle or even a credit card. I have broken down how to pay credit cards. Not on the due date, but on the statement date. 1980s IRS investigated single Willie Nelson, a bogus tax shelter that was disallowed, triggering a staggering 16.7 million tax bill, although the amount was later reduced to 6 million. That was a good attorney, right? By his attorney, Nelson could not make the payments to satisfy the IRS, which raided Nelson's home and seized nearly all his property in 1990. So you talking about usury and working hard for your wealth, and then you don't pay your taxes, and the IRS come in and get all of it, all of your ass and your assets. So is nobody that can come on my live stream and tell me that game is playing for them, and you're a middle class or poor working class. It didn't work for these millionaires, decamillionaires, multimillionaires, and billionaires. It's not gonna work for you. The best way is to build your assets. You don't need to be debt free first. That's biblical. 2 Kings chapter 4, Elijah or Elisha taught this to the woman whose husband died, didn't have life insurance, left the family in debt. Her 2 sons were about to be sold as slaves, right? Buy an asset first to get yourself out of the rat race. Free up your cash flow. It is very much legal to have a home-based business with the United States government. There's a difference between tax exemption and tax deductions. If you are an employee, you only have tax exemptions. When you become a business owner, you have employees only have tax deductions. When you become a business owner, now you have tax exemptions. $475. Get started there. $149, and then let's build up to getting you a trust. Now, if you already qualify for a trust, you have at least $20,000 in assets, $70,000 in your income, preferably business income. If you don't, we can help you, with that if it's job income as well. Go to the website, milliemoves.com. Check that out. Strolling at the bottom. And my next live stream is going to be about crypto. Y'all have a great, great remaining of your day. I thoroughly enjoy teaching in this live stream. I teach this with passion. Thank you all for the intelligent people that tuned in today. And make sure you share this video with someone else. You are blessed to be a blessing. So sharing is caring. Be safe. Be warm. Queen out.